Should men become stepfathers? Interesting question. I know it's this giant debate, about men becoming stepfathers, doing another man's job, playing cleanup man, you know. But this is a serious question. Should men become stepfathers? Now, I would first like to say, if you're a man and you already have kids, this don't apply to you. If you're a man and you already have kids, yes, you can be you can be a stepfather, yes. This is referring to single men. Men who haven't started a family. And I believe just because you've been married and you may have a divorce or you're separated, that doesn't mean you started a family. You were just married. To me, what starting a family is when two combine and have a child. To me, that's what a family is. Now, you can read all other kind of studies or listen to other people that may tell you differently, but I don't believe that. To me, just because two people are together and they sign some paperwork, that means they're married, yes, but they're not a family. They're not joined. What they have done is not, produced anything to say that they are, they have come together as a family. That's how I see it. I still kind of see it like two different entities. Now, if somebody can't bear a child, I believe spiritually is different. That's different. But going back to what I was talking about, should men become stepfathers? No. No. If you don't have kids, I don't believe you should be a stepfather to another man's kids. That's like finishing a job that wasn't started. Is it like playing cleanup man? I believe so. I highly believe so. I want to expand on it even more to the fact of, like I said, when you're starting a family with somebody, this person that you're getting with has already started. So now you're coming in, filling in the role of somebody else. Now, you could be a mentor to a child. I understand that. They said we need more men presence and all that. I believe that. I understand that. Yes. But should you be doing the job of somebody else who has already started? I don't believe so. Should you be giving up your hard-earned resources, your protection, your provision to someone else's child? I personally don't think so. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. I think starting a family with someone is one of the most sacred and beautiful things that you can do. So I believe that you should have your fair shot at starting a family as well. Fresh, like everyone else has, or the person that you're joining with has. I believe you should have that fair opportunity, that fair chance. Because now when you're coming into the position, now you're playing stepdaddy. Now it's to the point to where, is the child even going to respect you? You know how it goes. You ain't my daddy. You know how it goes. So now you so in love with the woman that you take on this child. Now the child don't respect you. And now she has certain provisions of how how you raise her child. This is my child. So now you're providing, you're protecting for this child that's not even yours. And you can't discipline. You can't show the way. You can't help out. You can't add any information because it's not your child. Yet you provide and protect. Now, it may just be the culture that we're in right now. That could be. But I don't see it as being a viable option for single men out here, especially the options that you may have. You could be ugly, or broke as a joke, whatever the case may be. But if you're a healthy male who has a positive mindset and wants to do good for himself, you will have options. Especially in 2025 and on, you will have options. Now, if this person that you are in love with or you want to build with has a child and they bring in a lot to the table, then by all means. And you don't want kids, by all means. And they don't bother you, by all means. But if something that is in the back of your head, running if you're making the right option, making the right choice, or if you're feeling hesitant, or you feel like this might not be the move that you need to make. Now keep in mind, if the actual father is still in their life, that's a whole nother thing that you got to deal with. How's the relationship with the mom and the pops now? And now you adding on to this. Is it really worth it? That's why I say no. Now, if you have kids and y'all joining families and all that, yeah, go ahead. But like I said, if you with a fresh slate, that's something that I would not embark on. If we look at animals looking to the wild, right? Lions and shit. When the female lion loses her way, or the male lion dies off, whatever the case may be, he gets killed, whatever the case may be, and she joins a new tribe, what's the one thing that happens? The male lion takes her cubs and does away with her cubs. Straight up. If she wants to join, the cubs that she has from another lion has to go bye-bye. You know what I mean by go bye-bye? He makes them go bye-bye. Why? He's not going to protect, he's not going to provide for another lion's cubs. He's not going to do it. And also, it protects his lineage, it protects his kids, protects his resources. And on top of that, what happens if one of those cubs by another male lion grows up and takes him on? Now this is nature, this is animals. So as humans, I believe we could take a page out of their book. Now I'm not saying do away with the kid, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you can avoid it altogether. Now I know what a lot of people may be saying, there's a lot of women out here, single parents, single moms, we need to help them. Yeah, but I believe all this needs to start and root before we even jump off the porch about how we mate. Now I understand there are some cases where people did choose right and just by the drop of a coin, that person switched up, and they don't want to be there anymore. I understand that. But I'm mostly talking to people who didn't choose right at all. Keisha got knocked up by Pookie, and now you want to come save the day. Or Keisha got knocked up by Pookie 5 years ago, and she changed her ways, Now you want to play stepdaddy. I believe sometimes some things is just almost like karma or something that you got to carry. Like for bad choices, bad decisions. It's like sometimes I do give people slack when they say like they got with the wrong partner, or but then again sometimes I don't, because sometimes I do believe like this person ain't shit that you sleeping with. This person ain't shit. You see how they treat people. You see how they treat their parents. You see how they treat their friends. You see how they treat everybody else. You know it. You see how they treat you. You see the red flags. Yet they still engage and get knocked up. And then we got all these children of the corn running around because they ain't got no guidance. So I believe from that aspect, as a community, we need to have more community, more men leaders, more coaches, more counselors, more things of that sort to be there where you can give your time. But should you dedicate your life? No. I believe that's just the sin that somebody has to carry for mating wrong. You know, when people say, I didn't know, or I would have chose better, and it's almost like ignorance of the law is no excuse. Because point blank period, a lot of times the fornication that's be happening is on some shit that we shouldn't even be doing. We're doing it out of pleasure, not necessarily because we love this person or we want to grow with this person. No, a lot of times it'd be out of pleasure. And like I said, you doing it out of pleasure, you unequally yoked with this person, you continuously get signs over and over and over, and you ignore it. Now you get knocked up. Yeah, we can blame the other person all day long for not being shit, but you was the person not sleeping with the person who ain't shit. So now what? Like I said, I understand some cases people change and all that. Yeah, I do understand that. But still goes fact of the matter. Somebody got to carry that. Now, I will say this. If it's come to a situation and come to a point where you were done wrong by a man, or you feel that, you know, you made the wrong decision and you want somebody to step up, I believe the first thing that people have to do in those situations is admit that they picked wrong. Admit the fault. Admit it. Don't hide from it. Don't put it on the other person. Admit your part in it. Don't be a victim. Yes, you might have been victimized or something like that, but don't play victim. Pick your roles. Understand that you might have rushed, slept with the wrong person, chose wrong. This person wasn't shit and you knew it. And educate people. Educate young girls out there to make sure that she chooses right. Keep her legs closed until she's ready. Educate young boys on being there, being solid, choosing the right girl so he don't got to run because this bitch is crazy. Let's start there. Let's start educating the youth upon the mistakes that we made so they won't make those same mistakes. That's how we start decreasing stuff. That's how we start decreasing the single parents out here and the single mom. That's how we start decreasing all of that. Because we educate instead of living in lies to make us feel better. Because that's all that's doing is just continuing the cycle more and more and more and over and over and over. When we don't really tell the truth. When we don't really address the issues. That's why I believe things like arranged marriages, those were beautiful. I know people may not believe that or whatever the case may be, or we're so far in society now to where, you know what I'm saying, that's too controlling and all that, but I understand it. It's because at the time when you so hot, you know what I mean by hot, at the time when you so hot, especially a female is so hot and she's young and immature, she's not going to make the right decisions. So now her youth, her innocence and all that is given to the wrong person. Again, her youth and her innocence is given to the wrong boy, the wrong man, whatever the case may be. Now she's lost her youth, her innocence, and God forbid she gets knocked up by him. So this young, beautiful, educated girl who could have been a pillar in society or a pillar in the family is ruined now by somebody who was immature and wasn't ready. So I understand why we had arranged marriages. Because they can see down the line. She comes from a good family. He comes from a good family. We put them together. Now this is going to be good for both of them. And it's going to be good for our community. It's going to be good for society. I believe it's a little give and take. Could it be too controlling, too this, too that? You're forced to love somebody you don't really necessarily like. I get that. I get it. But sometimes some people can choose better for us than we know. Especially if you in those hunter-gatherer societies and all those type of things that where it originally comes from. I understand it completely. I understand it wholeheartedly. It ain't about you sometimes. It's about the people. Because like I said, you get knocked up by a pookie. You get knocked up by somebody who's not going to be there. Who's going to raise the child now? You and society. Who bears the pain of having a child of the corn running around because the daddy ain't there? Who bears the pain? Yeah, you may be raising them, but the community is bearing the pain. The society is bearing the pain of this badass running around. Like I said, we look up how many people are in prison, come from a single parent home. It's north of 80%. So what does that tell you? That should tell you something right there. That number one, it's effective to have two parents coming from a household, but that don't mean be a stepdaddy. I feel like we need to do our part as men, be bigger pillars in community, lead the way, be counselors, be open, help. But what I just throw up my resources? No. Unless it's so much worth it with this lady's bringing into my life, it's so much worth it and it balances out. No. Just keeping it real. No. If I'm taking my time to choose right, if I'm taking my time, then I believe she should. Whoever I'm waiting on, it needs to be equally matched. Anyway, that's how I feel. Should men be stepfathers? I said, if you got kids, by all means, go ahead. Because you've already started and you can help out. And she can help you too. Y'all both got kids. You got both put your heads together, and go on. But for my young men out there, men in general, you haven't started yet, I advise you it's best to start off from a clean slate if you possibly can. You owe yourself that. Especially if you have to protect, you have to provide. You have to give all these things. You have to be wise. You have to be knowledgeable. You have to do all these things, especially you build yourself up to be able to have a family. You do all these things. I believe you deserve it. To at least give yourself that chance, that opportunity. Anyways, this is your favorite cousin Rich. I greatly do appreciate y'all for listening. Y'all be safe. Love and blessings.